talented musician named Lysander, who has stopped playing after the tragic death of his best friend, hears about Elara's gathering. Lysander's story is one of suppressed pain, self-imposed isolation, and the slow unraveling of a heavy silence that has haunted him since his best friend's death. Once known in the community for his exceptional skill and passion, he was the musician who could capture the essence of emotion with a single chord. His music was vibrant, full of life, a reflection of the bond he shared with his friend, who was more than a companion. He was a collaborator, muse, and brother in spirit. When his friend passed away unexpectedly, Lysander's world was shattered. Music became a reminder of everything he had lost, and silence felt like the only refuge from a grief that words couldn't touch. In the aftermath, Lysander withdrew from everyone, almost vanishing from the community's view. He became a ghost in his own life, wandering through days in a fog of numbness, his once vibrant world dulled to shades of gray. His instrument sat in the corner, untouched, gathering dust, a symbol of his abandoned dreams and unresolved sorrow. Elara's gathering reaches him not through grand gestures, but whispers, stories from others who had attended, subtle mentions of a safe space to share burdens, a place to face the hard truths of loss and hope. The idea of healing resonates with him, though he's skeptical. For Lysander, even the thought of picking up his instrument again is terrifying. It means facing not only his friend's absence, but the raw emotions he suppressed for so long. The decision to attend one of Elara's gatherings is a quiet act of courage, one born of desperation and curiosity. There, he listens to the voices of others, to Elara's story, and to the realization that everyone is carrying some form of loss. He continues to attend many of these gatherings in the community. It's a revelation that maybe he isn't as alone as he feels, that perhaps his grief, though uniquely his, is part of a shared human experience. At one of Elara's gatherings, Lysander sits in the back, surrounded by a quiet crowd, each person lost in their own stories. Tonight's event is different. Instead of individual sharing, Elara has asked everyone to bring something meaningful that represents their journey. A memento, a poem, a photo, something that speaks to their story. As people begin to share, Lysander watches a young woman stand up and pull out a folded, weathered note from her pocket. She explains that it was written by her late father, a short, unfinished letter he'd left her just before he passed. She reads it aloud, her voice trembling. The words are simple, nothing more than a few lines about how proud he was of her and how he wished he could have seen her grow. The unfinished lines hang in the air, a bittersweet echo of a life cut short. The room falls silent, the weight of her father's unsaid words settling over everyone like a shared breath. Lysander feels his chest tighten, his own grief stirred by the vulnerability before him. The moment cuts through the walls he's built around his pain, cracking them open, forcing him to confront the depths of his own loss. As he listens, he realizes that his silence has been his own unfinished letter to his friend, a message he's never allowed himself to deliver. In that moment, he understands that his music is the language he's been suppressing, the words left unsaid, the notes that would finally give voice to his grief. Moved by the courage in the room, Lysander feels an overwhelming urge to speak. But for him, speaking means playing. Trembling, he reaches for the guitar he brought with him, unsure if he'd even touch it tonight. With everyone watching, he takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, and begins to play a melody he hasn't touched in years. The piece he and his friend had written together, but never completed. His fingers, stiff from years of disuse, slowly relearn the language they once knew so well. The notes are hesitant, raw, each one dripping with emotion. But as he continues, the melody fills the room, intertwining with the memories, loss, and hope surrounding him. For the first time, Lysander lets his grief flow freely, his music painting an unspoken dialogue of love, loss, and healing. By the end, he is both exhausted and liberated, feeling a lightness he hasn't felt since his friend's passing. Elara's role is subtle but profound. She doesn't push him. Instead, she becomes a steady presence, a person who sees him beyond his silence, who believes in his ability to rediscover himself even when he doesn't. Through her encouragement, Lysander finds himself performing in small, intimate gatherings within the group, where every note becomes a shared release, a testament to resilience. Eventually, Lysander's music evolves from a private healing process to something he wishes to share with the broader community. His final transformation is not just about returning to music, but about rejoining life, carrying his friend's memory with him in every melody. He performs not only as an act of personal healing, but as a tribute, a story of loss and redemption that the whole town feels. And, in a way, he realizes that his music and his friend's memory are now forever intertwined, living on as an enduring legacy. Thank you so much for continuing on this journey and listening to another episode in the Conceal to Heal series. As I share with you my summation about Lysander, my prayer always is that you have been reflective throughout this reading and found pockets of inspiration that continue to lay a foundation on your journey. Lysander's journey mirrors Elara's in many ways, yet it takes on a uniquely introspective path. Once a passionate musician, he lost the desire to play after his best friend's passing, silencing the part of him that communicated best through melody. His grief becomes tangled in the silence of his instrument, each string and key a reminder of the loss he can't bear to face. Hearing about Elara's gathering stirs something deep within him. With trepidation, Lysander picks up his instrument, finding that his hands have grown unfamiliar with the movement. But with each note, he taps into memories and emotions he thought he'd lost. Elara becomes a guiding force, quietly supporting him through his reawakening. She encourages him in ways that aren't loud or directive, knowing that Lysander needs to find his own way back to music. As Lysander rebuilds his confidence, he discovers that performing for others isn't merely about sharing music. It's about allowing himself to be seen and understood, vulnerabilities and all. Through his music, he finds healing, transforming grief into a legacy of remembrance for his friend, while Elara's steadfast presence helps him realize he doesn't have to face this journey alone. Blessings, love, and healing. Yvonne Grant Robinson.